Welcome to On Roads Less Travelled Off-Road Adventures. In this video, we are travelling the Victoria, South Australia border track, entering via the Nagarkit Conservation Park. Greg's just airing down. We're just entering the park. Nagarkit has park fees that you have to pay for online. I'm pretty sure Greg said it was $10 per vehicle. And good idea to do that at Pinaroo because reception drops off shortly out of town. I should add, you can only do that online, so there's no honesty system. It's only online. There's an information board as you enter the park. Taking a photo of this map allows you to refer to it later on whilst you're driving, which we did a few times. There are various places you can start along the border track. We start in Nagarkit Conservation Park at the beginning of the 30-kilometre one-way section. We then drove on through the two-way section to Centre Track, finishing 10 kilometres south of Red Bluff Campground. There's another information board off to the right there, talking about the different walks that are available. As we drove up to this, we weren't quite sure what it is, what was on the road, and we see that it's a malleefowl nest. So the rangers have come out and put up some posts to protect the malleefowl nest. And there it is. And it's just at the side of the road like that. The iconic Victoria South Australia border track runs along the border, stretching from Hopeton to the Sturt Highway, and then finishes just across the border in South Australia in the town of Renmark. It is 380 kilometres long. A few deep holes here.
Someone hasn't had their tyres there well enough.
Oh, is that what's caused it? Yeah, they really dug it up. And we've just taken the right-hand turn back there to the border track, saying that it's 2 kilometres from that point. Okay, we've reached the border track and we're going to turn right. We've just been on Pine Hut Soak Track.
Okay.
And here we go. We're now officially on the border track. We think that this section of the border track is about 50 kilometres long. To the left of this fence is Victoria. Oh my goodness, look at this bit of the track. And the part we're on is South Australia. The track is divided into sections of varying difficulty, deep sandy stretches requiring high clearance and low range gearing, and clay sections where the potholes can be car wide and very, very deep and boggy. Recovery gear such as max tracks and winch are essential for the lower boggy areas. Pines campground. It's a bit dug up, but there seems to be further campgrounds down there.
Two. It's not the song.
And Greg said that you've got to book them. You can see the track winding there up ahead of us. The border track is a legendary part of Australian history. The one-way section is open between the 1st of April and 31st of October each year, and vehicles must travel from north to south. Some sections are very narrow and closed in. At the junction of the border track and centre track, 30 kilometres down, the track reverts to two-way track, where it widens considerably. This section of the track is a bit like being on a seesaw, as where the whole vehicle is rocked from side to side. We may be scraping our belly. Just thought I'd get out and show you the condition of this track that we're about to drive down. As you can see, it's got deep wombat holes And you can see where vehicles have scraped their bottom down the middle section of it. The track's also quite tight, with branches just brushing either side of the Raptor. It would be wise to download maps from the National Parks and Wildlife Service or through Avena Maps. Avenza Maps also allows you to navigate tracks and walking trails using your phone's inbuilt GPS system without needing phone service coverage. Mirrors in so they don't hit against the brush either side of the track. Oh, look at this section. Oh my goodness. And she's deep. This section looks a bit more challenging. Might be a good time to say that we don't have a winch on the vehicle as yet, because we've only recently got the Raptor. So needless to say, we've got our fingers crossed and holding our breath.
Piece of cake.
Don't say that, it'll be famous last words. Oh, blimey. Phew. We've pulled into the day area, which is just a clearing, just to have some lunch. It's just a nice break from the drive. Shortly past the day area is the Hensley Trigonometry Point, which is a bit of a lookout. It's got a table for you to have a meal at and a ladder up. So that's where we've come from. You can see the track winding back over the dunes. Sorry about the wind noise. And that's where we're headed. How's this for a view? Stunning. There is an area here you can pull off to the side of the track, so I'd suggest that if you're going to stop for a bite of lunch, this might be nicer than the day area down there. You can see that there's ample room for you to pull off the track.
So we've tried these ruts at all different speeds. If you go too slow, you rock around really violently. So hitting them at about 30 k's an hour, believe it or not, seems to be really good for the Raptor. It does have a fairly comprehensive suspension system, but if you go slow, you just get thrown about everywhere.
And you can hear the stuff bouncing around in the back as well. The border track has some interesting history associated with it. In 1847, surveyors attempted to mark the 141st meridian line as the boundary between Victoria and South Australia. However, due to limited technology and the complex terrain, they incorrectly marked it too far to the west of the intended line. We've just turned off at the signpost that says the Gums, and we're just going to drive in and have a look. We're not going to stop here for the night. Just going to have a look. So here it's saying suitable for one campsite. And yeah, campsites must be booked, as I said earlier. They're only online. There's no honesty box system here. And the signpost just said that it's 25 kilometres to the Dogger's Hut. Look at that stretching out in front of us. This section of the border track is a one-way section from north to south. so you won't meet any oncoming vehicles. They'll all just be behind you. Straight to the bottom. And wisely, Greg has chosen not to go through this bit, but to take the side track. Another survey was completed in the 1860s, confirming the boundary was incorrectly placed by 3.6 kilometres. South Australia believed the boundary should be changed to align with the 141st meridian, whilst Victoria wanted to retain the extra strip of land. Detour for towing and low clearance vehicles there.
Jesus, I wouldn't want to tow when I went through here.
In 1914, a High Court case was held to resolve the dispute, with the court ruling in favour of Victoria, meaning that the original 1847 survey line is where the current border line sits. Just looking ahead, and it looks like there's multiple tracks going up there, so not quite sure what that's about. Detour, another detour for towing. Caution ahead. What's that say?
You're proceeding to an area that has two large dunes with soft sand. These dunes can become impassable.
Okay, there's a towing track there, and here's the two sandy dunes, and here's the fork.
One track there.
I'm going to try this one. The one back before was harder than that, but we have just had rain, so maybe that's got something to do with it. So that was the first dune, and now we're just coming up to a fork for the second dune. Okay, there's a bit of a drop off there. We've decided to go straight up. Let's see how we go.
Certainly loose enough.
We're travelling about 40 kilometres an hour, roughly. Bit above, bit below. Come on, beautiful.
Easy.
Well done, sweetheart. At the top of both of those last two dunes, there are areas for you to pull over, so that if you're in a group, there's room for the vehicles at the top and the vehicles still coming up. And here at the turn off the centre track, we're beginning the two-way part of the border track. So up until this point, it's been one-way traffic only, north to south. Now it's both directions. The track this side of the two-way section is noticeably wider than the very narrow one-way section, and has quite a few areas that you can pull off if you have multiple vehicles. The border track itself was established later, primarily to provide access along the boundary for land management and surveying, and then later on, as off-roading grew in popularity, it became a prized four-wheel drive route.
That one.
It was cut up. I see they put some of that black mesh down too, like the other one. And here's a turn off for the Doggers Hut. I don't believe there's a hut there anymore. I think I read that at Pinaroo. It's just a campground.
1, 2, 3.
3 campsites at this campground. No facilities. And of course, you select it and book online like the others.
You'd fit a few in here though.
You could fit a large group in here. Oh yeah, there's a fire pit at least. You can see this section's quite badly dug up with some really deep wombat holes. to see how deep they are on the video. And it's quite steep too, this section. Ooh, where'd it go? There's a drop off.
Information board.
It's just an information board. So that board back there says that we've just left Nagara Conservation Park, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the next left should be Red Bluff Campground, we're thinking. There's no signpost, but we're thinking this is the right track. Shows that we're off track, even though there's no signpost. So we realised that we were heading along that track too far, so we've had to do an 8-point turn and come back out. We had a look at the map that I took a photo of at Pinaroo. Campground for Red Bluff is just past Red Bluff track itself. Whoa. Wow, look at that. You can see they've got it fenced off though, although you can get around the edge there. It's deep sand. This is like driving at Coorong. We did see a gap in the fence, but it's where someone's cut it. I'm not supposed to drive there, unfortunately. It would have been fun though. But if we don't do the right thing and follow the park's rules, that's when they start shutting tracks down and not letting us in at all. So it's everybody's responsibility to be respectful, I think. We've just taken a left-hand turn into what we hope is Red Bluff Campground. And here we're approaching Red Bluff, aptly named. And again on the other side. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Oh wow. That's okay.
Couple of
These won't sting me if I don't flap at them. We're wondering if we're going to stay at this campsite. Just here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a whole heap of bees and wasps. So maybe you can see them all flying around. Not so worried about the bees, but the wasps when we cook might be an issue. We might go up to one of the other campsites. We've left Red Bluff Campground because of the wasps and the bees. There was just too many to stay there safely. So we're heading on maybe to a Broken Bucket on the edge of Big Desert. We're not quite sure, but we've just turned onto Firebreak track and we'll see where we end up. Thank you for watching On Roads Less Travelled Off-Road Adventures. Please remember to subscribe and share, and stay tuned for some information about the parks that the border track runs through.